It's a good sign because if we have had it consecutively like two, three times now, which is a positive one. So if we can sustain the downward trend of inflation rate, I think that is going to help. However, sometimes when you look at inflation result like this, you have to interpret it vis-a-vis the current happening in the market. So for now, we may not be seeing the result, but the trajectory is a good one, and we are hoping that if we have it two times consecutively now, it can give us what we actually want. So it's a good one that we're having it, though it's not a total relief, but it's a sign that we are getting there gradually.
Yes, and of course, I'm definitely hopeful that we will get there soon as possible. But while inflation, headline inflation eased and food inflation actually rose year on year from 21% to around 22.74%, what would you say are the key drivers behind this persistent rise in food prices, despite other indicators improving?
Right. If you look at food inflation that always champion, you can see as the inflation is coming down, inflation is also coming down. I mean, the food inflation rather is not coming down. So our major challenge is the food inflation, and that's the problem. And that's why we talk about uh, supply chain. I see that in your earlier report, you talked about supply chain, which is the core problem of Nigeria economy. That speak to energy security. So transport is expensive, you know, electricity is expensive. These are the drivers of the economy through the manufacturing sector. So until we can do well in terms of energy security and ease of transport, because food production is not that there is no farmers are not farming, but moving to the buyer is the problem. So it's very, very expensive to move. So you can even buy bag of onion at like 500, 50,000. Transporting it will be taking like 70,000. That's why inflation soaring high until we control that.
Yes, and I see that you made reference to an earlier report, a story we took on the show about the manufacturing sector of Nigeria and the challenges they are currently facing. What would you see, what recommendations do you have for that sector and how do you think it can help ease inflation in Nigeria?
Right. So I would like to tell the bag manufacturer to start applying what we call group page in supply chain. And another thing is that to go make sure that the innovation of TNG must be totally approved, because if those people cannot, in your company, you can actually apply CNG instead of using fuel. So they should also look at there to make sure that there is an industrial CNG that can actually help them to reduce their cost of active. Nigeria also have launched what we call NSW, National Single Window, and I'm sure that will help the manufacturer and exporter and importer to control this of and the bureaucratic bottleneck of paying for the logistics, because logistics is a major problem. So if they can look into this very well, I think we can have a better government must come and solve the problem of supply chain in relation to protection and energy security.
Short term of this development, do you see any signs currently that these pressures might ease in the next months, coming months, let's say in the next quarter?
Well, I recall that CBN brought about a report about 2 months ago, about 2 months, that cost of input is increasing. If cost of input continue to increase, we may have another increment in inflation. So, we are hoping that with time, and if you look at the major macroeconomic indicator, look at Forex. Forex has been stable to an extent. Look at our GDP is on a growth trajectory. If you look at all those indicators, you see that we are hoping it will continue to go down. But our major problem is the NPR. We are hoping that by the time MPC come to meeting their next meeting, they'll bring down the NPR. So hopefully we may have another decrease in next month and in month of August. But I don't know what September will see, because from what CBN said, that there is increase in cost of input, it might reflect in the in it. And you also understand that we are going to Ember Month, and Ember Month have its own challenge as well in terms of the cost of activities.
That's right. So now core inflation and month-on-month metrics are sending some mixed signals. While core inflation dropped sharply month-on-month from around 3.46% to around 0.97%, the headline inflation month-on-month actually rose from 1.6% to 1.99%. So what should we make of these opposing movements? And what do you think is the way forward? What do you think about this development?
If you look at the baskets that NBS is using, it depends on the market. So for now, we are in the rainy season, and you know some inputs are these are the season for some inputs. So those things that are coming may affect the inflation, because if you are getting what you are getting at 5,000 before, you're getting at 700, 800. Some cost of food are coming down, obviously. So that could be why you are seeing in that direction. However, it might be temporal if we cannot sustain it. So we must make sure we sustain it and work on our energy, which is very, very key. That is transportation system.